All right, welcome back to the 214 Sports Show. 5th edition now. We're just starting. It's already flying by. It's already been a month. Here we are
Wow.
again for the fifth
We got
time now.
five, man. Let's go.
Yeah, that's
Five,
crazy.
bro. Like Booker T, five time, five time,
Five
five
time,
time.
5 time. All right, so I'm Joseph Duffy. This is, I guess, just jump in.
This is Courtney right here. Repping the Saints just won a big game Monday night.
Come on.
Fortunately we can't talk about them on this show, but best team in the NFC.
Hey now, let's not stretch it here.
I'll congratulate your best player, Bryce Young, on his victory yesterday. All right.
Bro.
2-0. I'm not gonna talk trash about the Saints. They're doing good, man. I'm teasing. I didn't even introduce myself.
All right, of course, we are the 214 Sports Show. Your home for everything North Texas sports. DFW, professional sports, I should say. So let's dive right in. Beginning of our podcast now. Something I found interesting over the weekend. This past week of college football had better games than I thought that we were going to expect. So we saw South Carolina, of course, against Georgia. Put up a hard-fought fight. Didn't go their way. Texas against Wyoming. Wyoming, that game was 10-10. Third quarter, Texas eventually pulled away. And then Colorado State and Colorado possibly
Bro.
the game of the weekend. Oh my goodness! I mean,
Yeah, what a
Colorado 3-0 now.
Man, I would say for all those games, one thing I could say when Spencer Rattler is on, he's on. It's just that consistency that he needs to find. Like once he finds that, I think he could be a serviceable quarterback. But they're never gonna win that game. But
I saw before the game even started, they had Spencer Rattler's completion rate was 55 for 66 or something like that this season. 2 games in, small sample size, but I mean he's doing pretty well. And he showed out good again in that first half for the Georgia game. I'm surprised you didn't even mention Boston College and Florida State. That was the most surprising game for me.
Yeah,
I didn't think Jordan Travis got hurt.
True.
Florida just stomped Tennessee, man. That was crazy.
Tennessee,
I was at the Texas Wyoming game, man. They put that on the big screen. I freaked out when I saw the score. It was like 26-7 at one point. And of course, Tennessee's still higher rating than Florida in this week's AP poll. I mean, just make it make sense.
It was so bad they were trying to fight at the end of the game. Crazy.
Hey, not to mention,
pull up the hands again.
What helmets on, bro?
Only teams ranked in the Big 12. Hey,
I'll never understand that fighting
Texas
with helmets
up,
on,
man.
but Texas
and
up. Looks
OU.
like it. I mean,
Texas is up, bro.
I was not expecting them to raise us in the poll, but Florida State, they sold bad, so I guess we get to raise. Playing a road game in Boston College.
I think it was most of the fact that AP poll people don't know what they're like. They don't watch the games, and they just saw that we ended up winning by 21. They didn't see that we were tied going into the fourth. They're like, oh, they won by 21.
That's facts, bro.
They can hardly access Longhorn Network either, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Bro,
we really should have, because it was on Longhorn Network. We shouldn't have moved up. Yeah. They just saw the final score. They didn't see how it went down.
It took me a good hour to get that game on, and I'm not gonna say how I got on, because it's going on the internet. But bro, that
just go to the game.
Bro, I ain't want to buy the big ticket, and I'm gonna go to another game. And I was like, is Wyoming worth it? Like, is Wyoming really worth it? Like, they don't got Josh Allen no more. Are they really worth it? And so I was like, let me go to another game, bro.
Yeah, for those who don't know, we're all UT students, so they have a system called the Big Ticket where you get all like your athletic games for the semester. And so I guess Courtney was saying that he doesn't have the Big Ticket. He found a way to watch that game. To watch that game, yeah.
I did. I won't say how. Same way I watched Colorado, by the way, but.
All right, moving on to our trivia. Of course, it's gonna be mainly a Cowboys themed show for the majority. But I'm going to start with this right here. The Cowboys won against the New York Jets. Another win against a New York team, of course, to start the season. And so now the Cowboys are 2-0. First time they've been 2-0 since 2019. Do you remember the first 2 opponents they played in that 2019 season to go 2-0? I'll let you try to remember that one.
All right.
Okay.
And then we're just going to move forward. So like
I'm
we said,
freezing up.
Cowboys. I know. When I looked it up, there were some games in order that I just forgot about. I thought that we had this like set in stone, and I realized like it wasn't the teams I was thinking of. But then it made more sense as I looked at the highlights and
What's
so.
crazy is I can remember 2018 and 2020. I can't remember 2019 right now.
What was the
20,
Super Bowl that year? The 2019 year.
Wasn't that
Niners.
the Patriots Rams? No, it was Niners.
Niners. Yeah,
Chiefs.
Niners.
Okay.
Chiefs.
Niners Chiefs. All right.
Crazy season.
All right.
And oh no, that was.
We
that
didn't
was
make
when
the
we went
playoffs
8-8.
this season. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Bad-
when we went
bad
8-8.
year.
That was Jason Garrett's last season. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on.
All right. Yeah.
I'll get
All
back
right.
to
So
that. I'll get back to
moving on. Of course, following up. Cowboys dominate another New York team. They won 30-10 at home. Another great defensive showing. Dak Prescott, highly efficient with over an 80% completion percentage. Micah Parsons with 2 sacks and a forced fumble. Who were your players of the game thus far? Well, in this game at least. TJ?
You got to give it to Dak. I mean, other than I know it's kind of the basic answer, but I think Dak is just the offensive system that he's been put into this season has helped him tremendously. I think he's really hitting his spots right now, minus the should have been pick 6 by Sauce Gardner last night. Other than that, I think or not last night, sorry. I think other than that, I mean, he made a lot of correct reads. I really like how this offensive system's working. I think CeeDee Lamb, for example, has been open a lot more than he has been since like past seasons. Seems like he's been able to actually run after his catches, which usually CeeDee Lamb, we're throwing at him double coverage sometimes, or he's getting tackled immediately. He's they're laying out right when he catches the ball. So, I mean, yeah, offensive system and Dak looked good. The running games looked good. Rico Dowdle had a good game. Deuce Vaughn looked good in his short time. So, I mean, no pun intended. Yeah, that's what I got to say.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he mentioned it briefly, but CeeDee Lamb, man, he looks different this year. He looks so different this year to me, especially with the absence of Brandon Cooks. Obviously they're gonna lean on CeeDee Lamb more. He definitely showed why they should always lean on him. Like TJ said, they're just getting him in way more situations. They're actually moving him. He's always been moved around. Obviously they put him in the slot. They put him at the edge, but he's just been moving around a lot more and actually has like rack ability a lot more now. But he even showed a couple of times this game when he can go up there and get the ball. I mean, I think he had like 2. From my memory off the top of my head, like 2 balls where he just went up there and got it in double coverage was one of them. I know one of them he got like flipped and he still held on to the ball. It's like he was really on fire yesterday or on Sunday. And even with Sauce, I don't really think him and Sauce really. I don't think Sauce traveled
that much.
No, yeah, they didn't match up that much.
Yeah, it was more.
Yeah. It's just a good thing by the OC, by McCarthy to move him around. I would love to see the Sauce and CD matchup so I could watch the highlights on YouTube, but, it's okay. And, yeah, so I'll definitely give it to CD.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about how CD is looking very good this year. One of those plays for sure that caught my eye was that flipping play. Because I don't know what it is about him, but, like, he's always had, like, this skinnier type of build. And yet, like, he's just never banged up. I don't know what it is. He gets up every time after a big hit. And then, of course,
he gets up, he just...
It's crazy. Just do that. Ooh.
Why doesn't he do it like that? He does it like that. Like, come on.
I love it, man.
You get up and do that immediately.
It's so clean. But for me, I think I got to go with Micah Parsons as the defensive MVP. I mean, the entire team player of the game. So, I mean, when I look at Micah Parsons, bro, I wonder how, like, we got so lucky sometimes. I mean,
man,
I was saying this a lot, like, a few days ago about how I really wanted Patrick Surtain II.
I wanted him to draft Surtain, too. I think everyone did.
And now, he's not a bad player. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if we had him today. But still, like, Micah Parsons, you could argue he's the best defense player in the game. He may be the DPOY favorite right now between him and TJ Watt and Nick Bosa.
TJ showed that yesterday.
But, I mean, he's just balling out. He just completely took over that game against the Jets. 2 sacks, a forced fumble. Touchdown got called back. We learned that he was actually touched down where he recovered the ball after he stripped it from Dalvin Cook. So, Micah Parsons, for me, definitely my player of the game. And so, going back to what y'all were talking about in terms of the play calling, what we're seeing already is like differently from the Kellen Moore play calling is that they're scheming guys open, and you don't have to rely on like just talent and stuff. That's why we were seeing so many like crazy Dak 400-yard games, like him throwing 40, 50 passes a game. You don't have to do that, I guess, in this offense. Of course, I'd like to see them finish more drives instead of as many field goals, but from what I'm seeing, like um, we're seeing more guys just schemed open so that we're not doing too much in offense and creating wide open lanes. So, leading
Yeah,
on to
I
the
feel
next
like
question.
I
Yes,
was
like
gonna say
we're
I feel like we're moving the ball quicker too. Like we're moving up, we're getting to the line quicker, we're snapping the ball quicker this year too. I feel like overall we've just been
mhm.
quicker.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say one issue, I don't know if it's part of the next question, but one issue though is for sure finishing the drives. I don't remember the stat line off the top of my head, but I think Dallas right now ranks in the bottom 10 in terms of red zone efficiency right now. And so like we're moving the ball or they're moving the ball, but they're just not finishing
It's not
for some odd
sustainable, yeah.
reason. Not sustainable.
Yeah, the red zone, the Jets definitely dominated the red zone. I was gonna get into that. Yeah.
So that's where we can see improvement. That was my next question. Where can we see improvement from this team? So you can go ahead if you want to start, TJ.
Well, yeah,
So
I
far.
mean, there's just a lot of times where there was moments where Dak doesn't seem like he can finish a drive in the red zone. He wasn't accurately, and I guess I should have said that at the start when I was saying that he was the player of the game. He wasn't accurately throwing in the red zone as well as he was in the open field. Also, the running backs. This is something that we were wondering at the start of the season after cutting Zeke is who's going to be the guy we can plug in at the goal line. And I don't think we found that guy yet. The running backs have been struggling as well in the red zone. You know, there's not Tony Pollard struggles to go into the middle, go into the the puddle or whatever, the dog
Mhm.
pile. He can't really force himself through to get a couple extra yards or to reach into the end zone. So, um, I mean, I don't know if we're gonna give that fullback a chance. But yeah, the red zone is something that's concerning. We are playing the Cardinals, who won't have a good defense next week, and hopefully we can kind of practice on finishing drives.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just to harp on what he said. I feel like everything that's happening with this team right now in terms of like just defense, like defense is extremely consistent. Like I really don't know if there's really any issues with defense. One shout out is to I always forget how to say his name, but
Oh, Digizua. Osa
yeah,
Digizua.
Odigizua, I
Odigizua,
forget it
like
too.
he played really good on Sunday. Definitely one of the key highlight players of the game. That run, obviously they were running from behind, so they really couldn't. But Brees had 4 carries, Dalvin had 4 carries, and even when they did run the ball, they weren't really going anywhere. He was definitely a big part of that. But something that they do need to actually focus on is that for sure the red zone consistency. Because like TJ said, Dak isn't finishing that in these routes, and I feel like they're being lazy with the actual running the ball in the end zone as well. It reminds me of if you watch a Colorado State game, the Colorado State game, they brought out the Rick Ross package, and that package went nowhere. Like it was the useless package. I actually never want to see that package ever again. And I
Yeah,
feel like that's what Dallas is doing a lot, and they weren't really getting too creative with it in the end zone.
the Rick Ross package. I like that. But
It's
but
crazy.
like y'all are talking about red zone efficiently, that's definitely number one right now. Brandon Aubrey, 5 field goals made. Crazy. Did
Forgot
not
about
Historic
that.
start.
did not expect that at all. After, of course, his first kick with the Cowboys, a missed extra point. In case you didn't remember, Week 1, first that was his first kick ever. Missed extra point. Has not missed since. So, going back, I guess I could say this may be a little picky, but maybe drops. I shouldn't say drops, just hands. There was one play where Deuce kind of bobbled the ball.
Yeah,
He could have gotten the
I
first
remember
down
that.
there, ended the
Yeah.
drive, had to punt, and then maybe pass protection is looking like we're not going to have to be like as crazy in pass protection as we've had in the past few years because we were running such like a spread offense. But because we're being more dynamic in the short routes and the run game, I don't know if you noticed, but Terrence Steele, he temporarily got a little benched at right tackle for Bass
Did not
because
notice that.
yeah, because he was struggling a little bit from that right side. against right next to Zach Martin. So maybe we can improve that a little bit. Again, I'm being a little nitpicky, but I
We
mean
did
he's
have
going
Tyler
against.
Smith out too,
Yeah, we were doing good. I
so
mean, this game without
we
Brandon
have
Cooks, without Tyler Smith, and on defensive side without what's his name, Donovan
Donovan
Smith,
Wilson.
Donovan Wilson, not Donovan Smith.
Mm-hmm.
It's a broadcaster.
No,
Donovan.
he's also a tackle too, I think.
Yeah.
So someone in the
So I
league. Yeah.
mean, it matters, and it's cool to see this team doing what they're doing. 70 to 10 overall in the past 2 weeks. 60-point differential through 2 weeks is ridiculous. I don't care how you cut. You can talk about who we're playing, but a win's a win. So this team is 2-0. Moving on to next week, the Arizona Cardinals, as you said, of course, blew that big-time lead against the New York Giants last week. You could argue if there's a little meddling going on there, but Arizona Cardinals 0-2. First 2 weeks, they weren't looking as bad as I thought they would going to the season. New head coach and Jonathan Gannon. Of course, the Eagles defensive coordinator from last season. They had a pretty decent year. Of course, probably the top 3 defense in the league, I believe, in yards per game. And also led the league in sacks. So he takes over in Arizona. Josh Dobbs now the new quarterback. Kyler Murray is injured. And now James Conner is still in the backfield. And Zach Ertz returning. So what are we looking for next week, TJ?
Putting me on the spot. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking for a consistent offensive, red zone attack. I want to see, I don't have a problem with the fact that we always go to the tight ends in the red zone, but I do want to see us kind of have more first read options to CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup, people who can actually go one-on-one and catch the ball. They're very good on one-on-one, Michael Gallup especially, because we're making these first reads to Jake Ferguson, and we don't even look at him, throughout the entire drive. And all of a sudden we're in the end zone and we're trusting him to, and, to be fair, our tight ends do usually get the job done, but they're not the people who are making the drive go all the way down the field like CeeDee Lamb is and stuff. So,
Yeah, I probably should touch on this a little bit in the last question, but I for sure want to see them get the run game going a little bit more. I think off the top of my head, I think I can find it real quick. I think Tony Pollard had like a less than a 3-yard average in his carry. I think he went 25 for 72. So he was doing a lot of run ups up the middle. So we all know he can be the lead back now. I don't think he's proven that a long time ago, but I like to actually see him kind of get in space more often than usual. I think personally the Cardinals are doing something that we haven't seen before, and where I think ever since that Caleb Williams rumor came out that he would go back to college, they're like, okay, Caleb, we'll show you that we're good. And then we'll lose at the end of the game, just so you know you have some talent here.
It makes the Cowboys look good.
Yeah, it's gonna make the Cowboys look good. So I don't think this game's gonna be close though. I think this is the actual time where they're gonna look like they suck. So yeah, just kind of get the run game going a little bit more, and like TJ said, consistency.
I mean, they were cooking first half against the Giants. I don't know if y'all are watching the game. I'm just not understanding They had to be a tank job. I mean, there's just no reason. There's no way that was like a complete 180 from what they were doing in the first half. That didn't look like a typical comeback if you were watching. So for me, I'm looking mainly how do you do against the run game. Low key, I mean, this team is doing very good against the run so far in the season. Ever since those first few drives the Giants had in that game with Saquon, I mean, this team has been locking it down in the defensive line, the front seven overall against the run, and we're not usually used to that. It's usually our weakness on this team thus far. Yep. Granted, we're not playing, amazing O-lines thus far, but they're doing pretty good. Breece Hall, like you said, 4 carries. He was not pleased by that at all, if you saw on social media recently. So I guess we can maybe watch out for James Conner, I could say, just for the most part.
I swear, man, he gets benched, I'm going to be so pissed off because of that, dude. I was already pissed he got 4 touches because he's on my fantasy team, man. I swear if he becomes a team cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, James Conner, I guess he's the one I would watch out for maybe. Had a 100-yard game last game against the Giants, just running all over the place, and he's also a threat from in the flats. He's a great receiving back as well. He's not getting as many checkdowns. Of course, that's kind of making me mad in fantasy a little bit, but Kyler Murray used to just dump it off to him a lot. But this year he's not getting nearly as many yards from
Well,
receiving.
that's what Dobbs
So
is usually good for, man. He
yeah,
usually
you would
does throw
think
those
like a young
checkdowns, man.
quarterback is like checking down to James Conner, but guess not. He hasn't been checking down to him at all. He just throws it to Ertz. So
Hey,
Not
Ertz is
complaining
on
about
my
that either.
fantasy team.
Exactly. Like, I ain't complaining about that either.
yeah, so James Conner went 23 carries for 106 yards last game and a touchdown. So I mean, there's not too much to be afraid from in this Cardinals
Look,
team. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, James Conner, like, 20 carries, 163. That's because they went up against the Giants for run defense. We talked about that when we were talking about the preview for the Giants. They have a poor run defense. And, with the Cowboys, this is a game where you totally expect the Cowboys to get up early. And once that happens, I don't know how many times they're actually going to give the ball to Jake, or the James Conner. So I do think that, like, at the start of the game, he could be someone to look out after, but I really hope that if the Cowboys just get up early, we don't see him, just like Brees Hall and Dalvin Cook. And when we do, we just get on it right immediately at the line of scrimmage.
What are you looking for,
Yeah.
Courtney?
Yeah, what you typing up?
Oh no, I'm just get ready for the next segment. I think in terms of people that we need to watch, I would say for sure, honestly, Joshua Dobbs. As much as like it's Joshua Dobbs, and he's probably around the same level as Zach Wilson in terms of quarterback play. If there's been many times where his Dallas defense has been caught off guard a lot of times, and they don't really know how to adjust. Now, his defense obviously looks way different than it does even a year back, 2 years ago. But, I mean, they haven't really, I guess, been kind of caught back yet. And so hopefully they just, stay consistent like they always do. But if Joshua Dobbs can get hot, like you said, the game was a complete 180. If they could continue doing that and the Cardinals actually want to win, then hopefully the Cowboys don't get taken aback. And so that's really what I'm looking for. Just how much energy is going to go within this game. Because like a trap game in week 3 is usually unheard of. But the Cardinals are so bad and the Cowboys are so good that the trap game can always happen.
Keywords want to win, yeah.
I had to look up the Cardinals receiving core.
Yeah. Since D-Hop left, I mean.
Marquise
it's
Brown.
Marquise, Rondell Moore. After that, I have no clue.
Speedy wide receiver core. I'm anxious to see how their O-line holds up against our D-line. This game is being played
up against the speedy receivers.
Yeah. Of course,
Stephon
Dan
Gilmore
Quinn's signature zone
caught
defense.
lagging one time.
Yeah.
With
he
the
did.
man.
Mm-hmm.
So
this game's going to be played in Arizona. Cowboys hitting the road again. This schedule is very weird. I don't know if you noticed, but start away, go home, go away, and then come right back home. You don't see that often. So
No.
Moving on here to the Texas Rangers. Been an interesting week, to say the least, huh?
say the least, man.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Last week, we were talking. This was the series, of course, with the Blue Jays, where they're in Toronto. 4-game sweep, just dominating from all fronts, pitching, hitting, and of course relief work. And then they drop a series to the Cleveland Guardians and get swept. If this is not a microcosm of how, this team has played throughout the season, I don't know what else is. Just this past week itself, this past 3 months have been like that week right there. So, I just don't know what to say. How can they bounce back? We're recording this by now, like on Tuesday night, so they actually just beat the Red Sox in the second game of their series and snapped their 4-game losing streak. So, how can this team bounce back with only 2 weeks left? Yeah, hello, win calm. How can this team bounce back, TJ? At least, I guess, get streaking at least.
I want to say that for tonight's game or Tuesday night's game, I liked how Bochy played the bullpen. And I think that's going to be the key to how this goes. I think, a lot of these times that at the start when the bullpen started collapsing, kind of like in July, it was Bochy was like experimenting. He was putting in Spieth, who we haven't seen in a while, Grant Anderson, and we haven't seen in a while, putting him in high volume situations, seeing if we can trust them. We couldn't. But you're looking at, this bullpen execution was great. He realized how to put up this, he put situational matchups in. He usually doesn't do that. When he puts a reliever in, he usually lets them try to finish out the inning regardless of what happens. So, you saw Heaney come in, get a quick out, let up a hit, and he went straight to Chapman to try to get some strikeouts. So, I mean, props to Bochy. I think that's how it's going to have to be. It's the elephant in the room. Having better bullpen. It starts with everything, not just the pitchers themselves. It starts with how Bochy plays the bullpen, how their confidence. So, I don't think it's going to happen. Will Smith has really struggled recently again.
Oh my gosh.
But there's these games, just like tonight, where we've had the bullpen be good, be consistent, be on the target. They didn't walk a lot of people I don't think the bullpen actually walked a single person tonight. Which is really rare.
Yeah. What about you, Courtney?
Yeah, like you said, I like the word you use there, microcosm. This 2023 Rangers might be the most roller coaster type season that any team in baseball has had in a very long time. How can they finish these past 2 weeks? I mean, they just gotta be consistent. I mean, Trayvon Diggs was throwing the first pitch today. Hopefully he can get some of that. Hopefully he can get some of the Cowboys juice over there. But I mean, I saw this little thing. They've been 3 of 16 since the September 18th. They've been 3 of 16 in save chances.
Ooh, so boy. August 13th.
Yeah, so they can't save. I mean,
4 for 17 now.
Since the All-Star break, I think they've been 31 and 29, and so I think after this All-Star break, it's kind of just been a downward spiral. But they've stayed afloat, kind of, and they do have an issue with ending losing streaks. So I think pretty much for them to even have a chance is just to never get in the losing streak for the rest of the season, which is probably not gonna happen. And I feel like if they hit any losing streak, it might be over. So hopefully they just stay afloat, and that's really the only thing you can say.
Yeah. So going back to the consistency thing, I don't want to harp on the bullpen anymore. I've done that enough. I mean, what else is there to be said? We've seen enough these past 2 weeks just to show you what the problem is with this team. But going back to what we've talked about the last 2 months, bro, the offense inconsistent as well, but specifically in the later innings. I mean, there's no clutch gene in this offense at all. 7th, 8th, 9th innings. If this team is down, it's almost over. I mean, just look at that Cleveland Guardians game series this past week. I mean, they were up a few innings, but once the Guardians started to take over in the middle relief, it was over. So you get these low scores. You have, going back here, 2 runs scored on Sunday to close the series. The day before, 1 run scored. We were up in that game, and then we blew it in the 8th inning. Will Smith, of course.
Yep. And they won.
And so they won again that night. And then the game before that on Friday, 12-3. And that game was actually close, but the Guardians blew it open, of course, in middle and late relief. So we talk about this bullpen all the time, but what doesn't get talked about enough is this offense's performance in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. Because when they are down, I mean, there's almost no hope. And then you can't just rely on the bullpen, as we've seen these past 2 weeks.
I'll be honest, I think the Rangers are cheating. I think there's just times, because you look at some of these games, man, they will, I mean, series against the Blue Jays, away series, 4-game series against a competitive team, our offense looked crazy good. Then we have these series, there's a series I remember back in August, I think. There's a 3-game away series against the Padres where we got 2 runs in all 3 games. And you have this series against the Guardians that's in another away series. I think the Rangers are cheating. They're finding ways to bring them in the away stadiums, and sometimes they can't. And, that's what happens with the Guardians and the Padres series, I'm sorry. I didn't want to bring that up. Just,
Ooh, that Padres
series. You know where it came from in 3 years ago, or 3 years from now when Evan Grant comes out with an article saying the Rangers have been caught in a massive cheating scandal.
I mean, the series I've seen this year, bro. The series that, like, if I were to rank them, bro, that Red series, maybe in the beginning of the season, maybe not that one in the beginning. I think I'd have to go with that Twin series as the worst. The one in Minnesota recently.
Not the Astros series?
Honestly, no, because I thought they were the better team all along. But that Minnesota series, something about that irked me. Something about it just made me mad because we were winning all of those games. We weren't winning for much at all. We just got blown out by Houston.
The Astros was just a gut punch. I mean, all three games were miserable.
Oh, Lord.
I think we won a series against Minnesota, though.
It's home runs left and right, bro. No, we got killed by Minnesota. They destroyed us in both series. They won both series. Oh, Lord.
That's just unbelievable. That's funny because me and my dad always have this joke about how Dallas sports always dominate Minnesota teams. You know, the Cowboys always do really good against the Vikings. Yeah. The Stars always do good against the Wild. Of course, they came from Minnesota. And the Mavs always beat the Timberwolves. And it's just like, you know, usually the Rangers beat the Twins, but not this season. So,
oh, yeah, they had our number. They had our number, especially in Minnesota itself. So
they had the whole area code, not just a number.
Rangers close the series out tomorrow at 1:05 p.m. against Boston. Final game in that series. And then they start another series with Seattle. First time they played against Seattle in a few months.
I'll be there on Sunday.
Ooh, this is a massive series. Just giant. I mean, it does not get bigger than this. And then they're going to hit the road again for the final time of the season. And they're going to go to LA to play the Angels. Anaheim actually to play the Angels. And then they're going to close the series in a 4-game away stand against Seattle. So, oh boy. It's going to be, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. What?
It really irks me about the Mariners and the Rangers playing their last seven of the last 10 games for both of them are against each other. It just irks me because it's like, that just sets up the Astros perfectly.
The baseball script writers.
Let me see what the Astros schedule is. They play the Royals at home. They do play the Mariners.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. They do play the Mariners, okay. But they do end out on a 3-game road series against the Diamondbacks. That's going to be tough.
For me, dude. Tough
series. They did just lose the series to the Royals.
They did. And we didn't take advantage somehow. We didn't take advantage of it. We could have been first if it was not just for... Oh, my goodness.
But what more could you ask for? That. At least it makes me feel a little better that the Mariners and Astros play, but having the Rangers play the Mariners 7 times, it's like, well, you know, with the importance of these series, I can easily see them going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So if the Astros are just like, you know, if they can just win their games and have the Rangers and Mariners just kill each other, they're going to win the division easily.
Yeah, so last time we played Seattle, I don't know if y'all remember, but this was all the way back in June. This is when the Rangers were really starting to...
We played good against the Mariners this year, right?
We won in Seattle, took 2 out of 3 in the first series we played against them, and then they came to Arlington, and we just absolutely dominated them. This is when we were starting to get about 18 to 20 games over 500 for the first time in a while. Won that first game 2-0, won the second game 16-6, and then finished it off 12-3 to sweep them. So, first time we're playing against them since June. These teams have gone in different directions, up and down. Of course, Mariners have had a big roller coaster as well. So, I'm going to be interested to see how they finish this series. You don't see that a lot. The baseball script writers were cooking for this final 2 weeks. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of good series looking at the schedule. So, I mean, this could either, I don't know about y'all, but this final 2-week stretch for this Rangers team could either go really good or really bad.
Really bad.
There is no in-between for me here.
I want to bring this up, and I don't know if I brought this up in past podcasts before, but something that really bothers me, something that always kind of gets brought up in my head, is the fact that the Rangers, there's just been a lot of these games this season where they should have won, and they got
plenty
either screwed out of it, like I'm thinking about that White Sox game where Andrews, the home slide,
come on, man,
where they reviewed it and said he was blocking the pathway for Andrews, which was complete BS. And that ended up making us lose that game. So now, you know, that's one game. You know, when it comes down to this part of the season, that one game means so much. There's a lot of these games where, obviously the bullpen just saving some of these games. If you think just Will Smith could have gone that last strike, and Rangers fans, we all know we can't trust the reliever even when they have two strikes, when they're down to their last strike in the game. And so, I mean, Will Smith had that one game against the Giants where he had one strike left and he gave up a
Oh my
two-run bomb
God.
that
The
was inches
walk-off.
away from being just a RBI tying double. So I mean, there's been a lot of unfortunate games. The Twins series, I swear the Twins hit the ball where it looked like it was just a pop-up and it somehow ended like in the right corner, like 320 feet, home run, kind of just out there. And so it's like if we can't win this division, that should be brought up. And Bochy experiencing, there's those games where we had one-run games against the Astros and stuff, and would put in Alex Spiess, who was just brought into the majors like 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, those experiencing, which is what the Mavericks did a lot last year, ended up costing them games, and ended up costing them the season. The Mavericks.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to cost the Rangers their season too.
Uh-oh.
So,
Where do
yeah.
you want to close this out?
Yeah, like I alluded to earlier, that Astro series. Once that Astro series happened, I honestly thought it was over. I did honestly think it was over.
Same.
Yeah.
So the fact that they had still stayed afloat, obviously not. It's not just them. Obviously, other teams have also choked a little bit as well. I mean, once you have the opportunity, you usually gotta grasp it. I'd say how Bochy treats the bullpen these next 2 weeks is gonna be really interesting. I think honestly, just keep the starters in as long as you can at this point.
Oh my God.
And hopefully, we just hope the offense stays consistent. I think the Seattle Mariners series, I think they end up winning it. But like TJ said, I think it's gonna be very back and forth, which is not good for the Rangers at the end of the day. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this goes. Because honestly, with the Rangers, we can say all these things about them, and they're just gonna go ahead and do opposite.
Look,
Yeah.
they need to sweep the Angels. I don't care about our away seat record. We need to sweep the Angels.
It would be
alright?
the
Because
most
we
Rangers thing. It'd be the
to
most
get
Rangers
swept.
thing. Yeah. It would be
No
the most Rangers thing if
Ohtani,
we like dominate
no
the
Trout.
Mariners. Oh my God. And then we just
They
drop
sold
the
all their
Angels
players
series.
away. We gotta win this series. Like, we
Absolutely.
gotta sweep them if we want to win this division. But of
Oh,
course,
boy.
yeah, it would be the Rangers. It would be Bochy putting in Will Smith in the 8th inning up by 1 run again, just to blow it again.
Oh boy, I've never seen so many Rangers blowing saves in a season. It's crazy. Oh my
It's
goodness.
like, how do they make, like, this, again, like, I think I've said this, I'm repeating myself with this again for the Rangers, but this was a season that halfway through the season, I was like the biggest Rangers fan ever. I was like, I've been through so many painful seasons, and this has been the most fun season I've ever had. I'm having fun watching this team, and it just, they just collapsed like no other team I've ever seen before.
Bro, I don't care what y'all say. The Rangers season is half the reason why this podcast is a thing right now. That Rangers season was so good. It's like we had to talk about it. We had to talk about that Rangers season.
Courtney
I
said,
know.
"Shut up and dribble." Oh my God! You said you better be grateful. Rangers
Man.
giving you content.
They were, and then look at us now, bro. Like,
Hey man,
I was
obviously
the-
massive. Go ahead.
You go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I would say a massive improvement, of course, man. But I'm actually gonna be in shambles if we just missed the playoffs after this season. I'm gonna be actually sick to my stomach.
got a little more Cowboys content, I guess.
It's gonna be
Oh,
like
boy.
every other, like, it's the same with almost every Dallas team for me. Like the Mavericks in their season last year, and I'm like, I'm never gonna watch this team again. I'm gonna be like with my Luka jersey on, so ready for them October 25th. Like, I already know the date that they're starting up. Like,
Oh man,
Exciting,
Texas
man.
Rangers, what are we gonna do with you? What are we gonna do with you? Okay, heading into the last part of our show. Talk a little bit about the Vegas odds. Cowboys at Cardinals. Over under currently set at 43.5 for both teams combined in scoring. What are we thinking?
I'm gonna go over. I think the offense does really good. I think the running game gets back to what we thought it was going to be with Tony Pollard being explosive. And I think the Cardinals get like a couple, maybe one or two, touchdowns in there. So I'm gonna say over 43.5. Say close to 50.
Mm.
Yeah, last week when I thought the Jets had a chance to cover the spread, they did not cover the spread, and the Cardinals are 2-0 against it, and so I really want to say they're gonna cover and that we will go over. I'm gonna go over, but I don't think they're gonna cover. I think it's gonna be a blowout for sure.
Yeah, I think this should be easily over 43.5. I mean, I don't think the
I
Cardinals will score at least. I don't think the Cardinals will score more than 20 points. I'll set it there.
yeah.
Um,
There's no way they
I
can
think
score
it's
more
I
than
think it's a
Jets
little
or
too
Giants.
I think it's a little too soon to be like, yeah, this defense, like even against the Cardinals, will give up like 3 points. Like there's no way the Cardinals get more than 10. Like I could see them getting close to 20 points.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I expect if this Cowboys defense have some falters
Yeah,
eventually.
I
You
mean,
can't.
Dobbs did good against us last year. He ended up getting what, like close to 20, 24 with
Yeah,
the
Yeah.
Titans, and they didn't have
yeah.
Derrick Henry or anybody. So
Mm-hmm. Spread also set at Cowboys favored by 12.5 points. I also think that's a kind of a easy one right there. This should not be a close game. There's no reason this should be. Then again, it's the NFL. Any given Sunday, anything can happen. But
Especially the way these offenses been playing recently. I mean, the Cowboys have been a little hot, but these offenses have been slow.
they've
Like
been putrid around the league. I don't know about y'all.
putrid.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
so yeah, go ahead.
no, it's probably too late. I was just
No,
gonna
no,
say,
go
like,
ahead, go
yeah,
ahead.
I think the Cardinals, like, I mean, they kept it close with the Commanders and the Giants. A lot of people could say that they should have won both of those games. And the
Yeah.
Commanders, the Giants, different story, but the Commanders haven't looked that bad. I mean, the
Mm-mm.
comeback win against the Broncos was pretty nice. I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
lie, the Broncos
Ooh.
are better than what they were last year, even though
So
they're
happy.
0-2 again. But
I'm so
I
happy
mean,
they're on too. So
uh,
happy. They gave
I
us
wonder
Brian
why.
Brees.
I wonder why.
So happy. He
Washington.
quit. He quit on us, bro. I don't even want to get in that. I don't want to get in that. But yeah.
Washington turning some heads so far, 2-0. Of course, new OC Eric Bieniemy. First time they've scored 35 points since Thanksgiving when they played us during the COVID
And
season.
Sam Howell's their quarterback. Isn't
Sam
that
Howell,
just
the
crazy?
quarterback.
I can't
It's
believe
crazy.
it.
Looking like a second half team so far. They don't really do that good in the first half, but they wake up in the second
Yeah.
half. So
Mm-hmm.
going back to that trivia question, I asked you, of course, who did the
Ooh.
Cowboys play in those first two games? This is the first time the Cowboys are 2-0 since 2019. Who did they beat in those first two games in that 2019 season? Of course, the 8-8 season as well.
So look, I remember that season starting off. We were like 3-0. All right. For some reason, I remember week 3 was the Dolphins. We
Mhm.
beat the
Right.
That's
Dolphins.
that season. Okay.
And I
It's-
think the
it's- okay.
Saints were our first loss.
Yeah,
And then we
it
started
was.
sliding. I think we lost to the Texans at one point,
I believe
which
so.
makes
Yep.
me think we were playing at NFC or AFC South teams, whatever that division's called. Did we start off? I'm gonna feel real stupid for saying this. You go ahead, Courtney. I'm still thinking. Still
So I
pondering over
know
here.
if you're gonna say a Colts, I don't think it was the Colts. 'Cause I remember the Colts. I think
Okay,
beat them.
I was
towards the
gonna
end of
say the
season.
Colts.
I'm pretty sure they beat them towards the end of the season that year.
Okay, that makes sense. It wasn't the Titans. It couldn't have been the Titans.
Is this
Y'all are
the
remembering,
season?
y'all are remembering the games actually like pretty well, but this is just not the order. So the
Is this
first
the
two
season-
games. Go ahead.
Is this the season when Jerry
We
said
played-
that like I'm gonna have to pay
played-
Dak, or he said something along those lines after those 3 games, where he was
Ooh.
like,
We played the Patriots too, so we played that division too. Yeah, because we
Mhm.
played the Bills. Okay, but I don't think we played the Jets in the first 2 weeks. That was when Sam Darnold beat us. Now that
Mhm.
season's starting to come back to me.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so it must have definitely been a divisional. One of them has to be a divisional opponent. I think it's the Giants.
Okay.
My second guess would be so our two were. I don't think it was any of the teams in the AFC.
Oh, Oh my.
Oh man, this is
Hold on,
You
really
get
killing
this.
me.
You get this.
It wasn't the Rams. We played the Rams earlier that year, or later that year. I mean, I think.
Uh-huh.
They faced the Rams
That's true.
week one.
That's true.
Was that 2020 when they faced the Rams?
Was
week
it
one?
the
2020.
Giants? Was it the
2020.
Giants and Cardinals? I'm gonna go Giants.
Okay,
Cardinals.
hold
Courtney,
on.
give me your answer then. I'll
So
give you your answer.
I'm gonna go Giants. For the first one as well because they always face the Giants week one, and for some reason this is just coming to me randomly. I'm gonna go Seahawks. I don't know why, but I'm gonna go Seattle for number 2.
I broke down the
All right.
schedule. I think it's Giants Cardinals.
No, seriously though, y'all are getting like a lot of those games right, and I'm really impressed you remembered a lot of those. You remember the Patriots game, of course, we lost. That was
I
the last
couldn't-
time
I could
we
remember
faced
a
Tom
thing
Brady.
at the start.
Hey,
Yeah.
You remembered that Jets loss, which I was not surprised that y'all remembered. That was the game we lost to Sam Darnold in New York.
Yeah.
Crazy
we lost to
game.
Sam Darnold. Remember
Oh my
that?
goodness. So y'all
And
did
we
it.
lost to the Bills on Thanksgiving. I don't know
Yep.
why I can't remember it.
Yep.
Damn.
So first game of the year, y'all were right. Giants. First game of
Yep.
the year,
Always.
35-17. Yeah.
Dak
There's
was
a
on
lot-
fire.
Give me the Cardinals.
There was a lot of talk going into that game before because Giants were saying that Dak couldn't throw the deep ball. And first play of the year, Dak goes deep. Tavon Austin for the touchdown.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I should know the second game, bro, because
Yeah,
he was
so-
so good on the first 3 weeks. He was like literally MVP race. I can't remember.
So second game, they go to Washington to play
No, it
the
was
then called
Washington.
Redskins.
They were really
'Cause
bad
that
that year,
was-
right?
Oh,
Yeah.
no, it should.
I
remember. I remember, and then people are like, Dak is beating
Should've
up on
said
these
it was
3 bad
Washington.
teams. I remember
Yeah,
now.
3-0. They
Yeah,
started
no, that's what I
3-0
was
against
thinking. It was
terrible
bad
teams.
teams. The
now.
Cardinals were bad in 2019.
Yeah,
I was like,
remember now.
dang it, man.
So if you remember,
Oh,
they
so
started
close.
3-0, and then next week they go play Teddy Bridgewater Saints. Do y'all remember that game in the Superdome? Because Drew Brees was out. Yeah, because
Yeah.
Brees was out because he got hurt, I believe,
Yeah.
playing the Rams. I might be wrong. I think he was playing the Rams, and he got his thumb
Yeah.
hurt or something.
Aaron Donald done chipped him on. He's a dirty player, but we won't get on that. That's your idol though. So I won't hate on him too much.
Hey,
but-
it's on his Twitter handle.
Bro, if he don't break that thumb, I swear he make the Super Bowl. But that's a different story for a different day. We still
I
went 6-0.
remember that. I remember that like yesterday, bro. Like that game was in LA too, and just right there, Brees was in the pocket,
Breeze is in the pocket,
and then Aaron Donald, as he was trying to chop his hand, he got pieces Drew Brees' hand as he was trying to throw. So
Then he breaks his ribs the next year, and then it's just like
Teddy Bridgewater
Man.
clutch, man. Then we come back.
it got
home.
him paid.
Yeah, it got him paid for sure. I
It
don't know where
did.
he is now. I think he's in
He's a
Lions.
backup.
He's in
yeah.
Detroit.
changed
You were
his
number
name,
50.
Backup.
changed his numbers like 3 times.
Yeah. But
All
yeah,
right,
continue what
so-
you saying?
Yeah, I was saying Teddy Bridgewater was cooking the end of the season right there. So, I mean, the middle of the season right there just to help the Saints keep the playoff hopes alive.
I don't remember. Y'all probably remember what was the collapse that year. That
What for us? For the
yeah.
Cowboys?
Wasn't
Yeah.
it just
Ooh.
inconsistent offense?
For sure. I think it was.
Because
it had
was
to be,
that was the year. No, we got Amari Cooper the year before.
for me.
I
I mean,
remember. Yeah.
it had to
Jason
be
Garrett.
like we were awful in the red zone. Awful. I mean, just
Yeah, it was
horrific.
Jason Garrett. We just
Yeah.
got pissed off at Jason Garrett for the final time they finally fired him.
Also insanely conservative. I mean, there was just no
yeah.
guts. These dudes were like punting from like the other team's like 40-something yard line. There was no edge to this team. The defense was starting to kind of sell towards the end of the year as well. The offense over.
You just had him going.
Yeah, just the.
Yeah, Jason Garrett just.
I think the breaking point had to be week 14. If you remember that game, going to Chicago, Thursday night game, lost to the Bears.
Mitch
that-
Trubisky. We let Mitch Trubisky
remember
run all over
that.
us too.
That's where he lost his job right there.
I actually
Ooh.
did a presentation in high school. It was my speech class. And it was like, write something. I forgot what it was about, but I wrote about why the Cowboys would never win a Super Bowl. And I put 3 main reasons. And it was, I think I put Jason Garrett as one of them. It was one of the best slides I've ever made. And I put evidence at Mitch Trubisky highlights against the Cowboys.
When I
It's
tell
so
you,
random, but like.
when I
Oh,
tell
I just
you,
want to
it's
say.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I just want to say, this is random, but like that Stephon Gilmore day against Amari Cooper when they faced the Patriots is
Oh
one of
yeah.
the best defensive performances I've ever seen in my life. And like,
I don't know if you've seen his breakdown on that, but he was like, he was kind of being like, he wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but he was basically saying like how they run the same thing like over and over again.
yeah,
He was, if you watch
that
it,
was the
he
main
was doing
point.
the film breakdown. Oh my gosh.
It's the
He's
same
like,
with
he's like, I
who is
knew
it?
they were coming back with the same thing, so I just jumped
Levante
the route.
Levante David, was it him? Buccaneers last year after week 1. They're like, it's not hard to play the Cowboys when we know when they're
Oh
running
boy.
every time.
Always a gun punch when I hear someone say that. Hopefully it's different now. Hopefully it's different. But there have been some games where it's been hard to go to school the next day in my Cowboys fanhood. It's been a few games. Yeah.
Hey, it still goes on, man. Still goes on.
Every single game. But with that Jets loss a few years ago and that Bears loss, oh my goodness. Just, I had to hear it. So, going now to our final segment now, the rapid fire questions. Where do y'all see the Cowboys' first loss so far in the schedule? If you want to take a look real quick.
Let me look at the schedule.
They play the Cardinals and they play at home against the Patriots, and then the next game, very hyped primetime Sunday night football game against the Niners, and then after that the Chargers. So, what we thinking so far?
I'm gonna go a little random here. I don't think I actually think they beat the Niners. I don't know why I would think that. I mean, everything's telling me that they wouldn't beat the Niners. Obviously, they're gonna beat the Cardinals. Obviously, they're probably gonna beat the Patriots. Bill gone his own way on Sunday night. He could have won that game. I actually think they're gonna lose against the Rams. I expect Matthew Stafford has been on one this year. Obviously, they lost against the Niners. It's the Niners, and they're really close. Puka Nakua, he's on pace for 212 receptions. And I just feel like he's one of those players that Dallas for some reason will not be able to guard. And then Cooper Kupp will probably be back at that point too. And so I low-key think they're gonna lose to the Rams.
CJ?
I'm not. Yeah, it wouldn't be that hard to think about the Cowboys losing to the Rams. I'll just go ahead because I don't want this to be like delusional Cowboys podcast. I'll go ahead and say that's the 49ers that hand us our first loss because, I mean, in the end of the day, they've looked really good this season too. It's obvious. I think right now the Cowboys and 49ers are definitely the two best teams in the NFC. I think they're better than the Eagles. Probably football. I would agree with that too right now. I think they're the best 2-0 teams in the league right now. Just having it being an away game, I hope we can win that game. I'm praying that we win that game. That's the one game I really want to win. But I'm going to go ahead and say that the 49ers beat us in a defensive battle that's low scoring and Dak just can't get it done. And then
Like always.
No, come on now. I'm gonna go ahead and say the Niners too. I mean, I hate to say it, but I'd like it more if this was a game at AT&T Stadium. I know Cowboys fans travel well, and so it'll be loud even if we go to San Fran. But I'm just not liking our chances. Yeah, I'm not liking our chances right now in San Fran prime time.
Yeah,
7:20
with
the red zone. How our red zone's doing right now in our offense.
It can improve.
How good their
There's
defense is.
There's still a time, but I mean,
it'll probably be the Niners. But if it's not, I'm gonna go with the Rams.
Okay. So, final question here.
If it's not, they're going undefeated.
We will never lose. Absolutely.
Sam Howell.
Sam Howell in the last week again.
Yeah. So, last question here. Who's been the unsung hero of this Cowboys team thus far? The guy, in your opinion, who's not getting much praise, who deserves much more praise for how he's performing after 2 weeks of the season. So, whoever just wants to jump in.
I'm gonna go Diggs. It's a little tough. They were dogging him in the broadcast booth last game against the Jets. There were many times where it's like, oh, he got Diggs good. But it's Garrett Wilson, and, obviously I think, there's a stat. Trayvon Diggs' passer rating in the first 2 games is 1. So, I mean, it's just something that doesn't get talked about. We talk about Trayvon Diggs when he is getting interceptions. We don't talk about Trayvon Diggs when he's locking up the defenders. And that's what, that's why he gets all this hate. Is that people don't realize now that he's kind of moved away from kind of, kind kind of watching the ball, trying to get picks and playing up. He's playing back. He's trying to defend these players. And I think it's been a really huge improvement for the Cowboys defense. Anyways, that wasn't really rapid fire. We'll work on that.
Go ahead, Courtney.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Oza. Like I said earlier, Oza Adiguzua. Like we said, going into the season, on our second episode, we said the main thing that we want to see from this Cowboys defense is the run defense, and obviously with Mozzie Smith coming in and some other DTs, the guy from the Raiders is Hankins as well, coming in. They definitely boasted it.
Dorrance Armstrong. I should have said him. He's been really good.
I mean, that D-line has been on fire. But Digazue has definitely been plugging in that middle gap in the best way. They've been rotating this D-line, I think, to a T. And so everyone's kind of going to gain their chances. But I'm going to go with him for the unsung hero.
Yeah, for me, it was good answers, guys. But I'm just going to go with the kicker again. Maybe, I mean, I feel like he's getting a little bit of praise.
Extra point, man.
Yeah, he did. But, we'll let it slide. Rainy game, first game of the year, he hasn't missed since.
That's called foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing, of course. But, he's been pretty good thus far. Of course, Brett Maher was good, too, to start the season. But
hey, he's been doing pretty good for the Rams, right?
I'll stop there. He had a little bit of a downfall at the end of the season, if you catch my drift. But Brandon Aubrey, 5 for 5. Of course, I think he made 2 50-yarders. Might be wrong. He at least made a 55-yarder, I know for sure. But that was a really good performance thus far from a guy who came straight from the USFL and before that had no college kicking experience. So this guy is coming straight from MLS play, going all right to the USFL to become a NFL kicker, well, a place kicker, and then he just gets signed by us. And he's a North Texas kid too.
So bad though.
Yeah, it does. It does.
That's just what Yeah, y'all remember when Ninja tweeted that thing out where he's like, why do NFL kickers miss kicks? Like, I would honestly say like getting a win in Fortnite's harder or whatever he said. Like,
hey, he's a North Texas kid too, I believe. He's from let me look. I thought he was from around here. Could be wrong.
I think he was. Yeah, they said he's from Plano.
Yeah, he's from Plano. That's what I thought.
Shout out. That is my hometown. So.
If what's it called? If he ends up coming on a losing streak, they need to go get that Colorado State kicker in the draft. That 35-year-old.
Hey man, the dude who's paying a mortgage, bro, got 3 kids.
3 kids and a wife.
Come on, man. What are we doing, bro? That dude, he's from England too. He's from Kent, England.
Why is he on the field?
Crazy.
How's he even eligible? We need to change the rule book, man. Make sure they are not eligible to do that.
Eligibility rules are crazy.
Yeah, we gotta crank down on that stuff, man. There's no way grown men who are 29 should be starting QB for University of North Texas, which is a true story last year.
Austin Ani, something like that. I believe Ani was his last name. All right, so getting up there, we're going to go ahead and close out the podcast. Where can they find you on your social medias? TJ, go ahead.
TJ.Krylowitz on Instagram and Twitter. Follow me right there.
I can't say it without laughing anymore. See
Clive.
See Laser Life on Instagram and C_Machani on Twitter.
Yeah, all right, Clive. Mine, of course, Instagram and Twitter at Joseph_Duffy99 against at Joseph_Duffy99. For this show, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at 214 Sports Show. Again, we're on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok where we post our reels. Actually, ask some polls on Twitter now, X, of course. At 214 Sports Show. So, there it is. End of the show. Episode number 5 in the books, fellas.
Let's go.
Hold on. Before we go, happy birthday to TJ.
Oh, of course. Happy birthday to the birthday boy.
Of course. Appreciate it.
I'm glad to have you here, TJ. This does not work without you, man. So
love this podcast.
Of course, man.
The many more weeks with this podcast and to
of course.
Hopefully next week not having to say the same things about the Rangers. So.
We'll just have to see. Gonna be an interesting week coming up against these few teams and divisional matchups. So good to have y'all. Thank you for listening. We invite you to come back and see y'all.